You know how they say, till death do us part in marriage? Well, it's pretty much the same with tattoos, since they can be stuck to a person's body forever. Now, footballers, just like many other people around the world, love getting ink on their skin. However, there are some soccer players who wish they hadn't. So, from inappropriate leg break drawings to blatantly disrespecting a family name, here are some of the worst tattoos that footballers wish they had never gotten. You see, Nile Ranger was a highly problematic figure all through his playing days. There was actually a time he was released by his club Southend in 2018 for what they called recurrent disciplinary issues. Now, if you take a look at Ranger's impressive scoring ability, you would understand why releasing him from his contract wasn't the easiest decision for Southend to make. But the problem child just had to go, as he was being cautioned by referees in practically every game. The good news for refs, though, is that taking down Ranger's name wasn't such a hassle. But why is that? Well, Nile Ranger thought it was a good idea to have his surname tattooed boldly across the side of his head. Now, if the tattoo was pretty, then maybe we wouldn't have had a problem with it. Unfortunately, Ranger's body art was nothing short of hideous, and quite frankly, a huge disrespect to his family name. Nile Ranger was a young, reckless lad when he got the not-so-nice tattoo, and perhaps now he'd be questioning this very decision as one of his worst ever. Speaking of bad decisions, Andre D'Alessandro isn't innocent either, as he has been found guilty of inking one of the silliest tattoos in football history. The former River Plate and Portsmouth player had quite a funny nickname, El Cabezon, which translates to the big-headed in English. Now, this name actually stems from his pretty large dome, and not necessarily his ego. But going by his tattoo choices, many would argue that this ego was indeed inflated. The name big-headed actually got into D'Alessandro's head, as the attacking player thought it'd be a brilliant idea to have his entire face tattooed across his belly. As if the ink on both sides of his arms weren't enough, the Argentine forward saw it fit to have an extra face, and he executed his thoughts in 2015 when he made that fateful trip to the tattoo parlor. Fast forward to 2023, and anytime he stands shirtless in front of a mirror, he'd probably be asking himself, dude, really? Moving on, and Daniele De Rossi comes in next. Without a doubt, De Rossi is one of the most talented players to ever come out of Italy. He's quick and calculative, but he can also be very tough on opponents, as many have found out in the past. De Rossi was a no-nonsense defender who displayed a lot of passion anytime he was on the pitch. He always had a knack for winning balls, even if he had to crack a few bones in the process. In fact, he was so aware of his sometimes dangerous tackling that he actually went as far as getting a tattoo with a warning sign on his leg. The tattoo depicts a caution sign with one stick figure standing tall and another stick figure lunging in with a dangerous tackle to the ankle. Who knows the message De Rossi was trying to pass with this tattoo? Was he warning his opponents to peacefully give up the ball and he'll spare their ankles from his calamitous tackles? Or did he get it to remind himself and everyone else that he was one of the best tacklers in the game? Thankfully, De Rossi didn't send too many opponents to the bone doctor, as he was indeed a great tackler and ball winner. But he really didn't need to get a warning sign tattoo to prove it though. Now, just like De Rossi, Sergio Ramos too was a great but tough defender to deal with. He also loved body art, as practically his entire frame is covered in ink. Among Ramos's many tattoos are the Star of David on his forearm and a fearsome lion on his back. But the tattoo that has given his fans the most headaches are the 4 separate tattoos he has on all the fingers on his left hand. These finger markings include a set of cryptic numbers tattooed on his knuckles. The numbers are 35, 90, 32 and 19. And as cocky as Ramos can be, he has challenged his fans to try and figure out what each of these numbers signify. Unfortunately, no one has been able to decipher the Real Madrid legend's cryptic digits. The worst part is, Ramos himself seems not to know what the numbers stand for, as he has never given us a clue regarding their meaning. Well, at least you can look at Ramos's tattoos long enough to keep guessing, which is more than I can say for Alessandro Giamanci's tattoos. The ex-Livorno, Bologna and West Ham midfielder is without a doubt a unique player. He has this flair about him when he's on the ball, and his sometimes unorthodox style of play sets him apart from his peers. Let's just say he enjoys doing things his way, and while he successfully pulls them off most of the time, there is one occasion where he didn't quite get it right. The Italian's overly creative tendencies pushed him to get a questionable tattoo on his right calf, which depicts a very large smiley face. I know you're wondering what could possibly be wrong with a smiley. Nothing really. It's just that Giamanci's version is so creepy, you'd think it'll snap at you if you look at it long enough. Now, another tattoo that can be called a complete eyesore is the one Eurus Vita's got to show the world how much he loved his wife. And while this was an honourable thing to do, It was how he did it that remains questionable. It's true love can make even the most rational person do silly things, but Vitas might have taken this one too far. In 2017, the Serbian ball winner had his wife's face permanently inked on the lower part of his body, all the way up his torso. The sad part is, the poorly drawn tattoo made his wife look like a character from a horror movie, instead of the pretty lady she is in real life. Let's just say he did his wife a huge injustice with that one, and I can only imagine all the scolding he would have received behind closed doors. Speaking of wives, or ex-wives, and all the scandals that come in between, Mauro Icardi found himself caught in one when he began dating Wanda Nara, the ex-wife of his former Sampdoria teammate Maxi Lopez. As you would expect, the Argentine received a lot of criticism for betraying his former teammates, but it wasn't just a tasteless romance that was the problem, as Icardi thought it was a good idea to tattoo the names of Lopez and Wanda's children on his arm. That was a great insult to Maxi Lopez, and even Lionel Messi was rumoured to have been unimpressed with what the fellow countryman had done. Maurizio Pinilla comes in next, although his questionable tattoo has nothing to do with a love triangle. Rather, it has everything to do with a sad day in his footballing career, which he'd probably now want to forget. Just a few months after the 2014 World Cup, the Chilean got a tattoo on his back that tells the story of his country's last 16 bitter defeat at the hands of Brazil. In the very last minute of extra time, Pinilla could have scored the goal that would send Chile to the quarter-finals, but his blistering shot smacked against the bar instead. It was one hell of a strike, and everyone, including Pinilla, thought the ball was going in. To make the day even sadder, Chile lost to Brazil on penalties. Now, a lot of players would want to forget such a bad day on the pitch, but for some reason, Pinilla had the whole experience tattooed on his back. This was in 2014 though, so I wonder how he feels about the tattoo today. Another questionable tattoo that comes to mind is that of Artur Boruc, the Polish keeper who rendered his services to Celtic, Southampton and Bournemouth. The shot stopper must have been really off on something when he decided to get a tattoo of an upside-down monkey on his belly. As if that wasn't bad enough, Boruc saw his belly button as the perfect thing to be used as the monkey's backside. It might seem hilarious at first, but it gets more irritating the longer you keep your eyes on it. Now, some tattoos might be offensive for how they look, but others might be offensive for what they mean. This is where John Carew comes in, as he clearly showed the world that he needs to brush up on his French. The ex-Aston Villa striker made a real blunder with his body ink when he tattooed the phrase "Ma vie, mes règles" on the side of his neck. It translates to "my life, my rules," which is cool, right? Well, yes, except for the fact that règles was misspelled as règles, which means menstruation in English. This means Carew's tattoo actually reads "my life, my menstruation." That's really embarrassing. So guys, do you know any other football players with terrible tattoos? Don't hesitate to share in the comments section below. And while you're at it, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.